Witness the unthinkable. Tourist does what with a
There you go,
horse?
easy now.
Alex had always been a
Such a good
traveler at
boy.
heart. The thrill of discovering new places, tasting unfamiliar foods, and meeting people from different cultures gave a spark to life that nothing else could. This time, Alex decided to venture away from the crowded city streets and noisy tourist spots. The plan was to explore a quiet countryside village tucked away in the hills, a place famous for its natural beauty, rolling green meadows, and traditional horseback riding experiences. Alex had seen pictures online, horses galloping freely across sunlit fields, charming cottages with smoke curling from chimneys, and villagers smiling warmly at visitors. It all looked magical, almost like stepping into a storybook. The journey to the village was long, but Alex didn't mind. The winding roads offered scenic views of forests and streams, each bend in the path revealing a new corner of the countryside. Birds sang from the treetops, and the air smelled fresh and clean, a sweet change from the exhaust and city smells left behind. With every mile, Alex's excitement grew. There was a sense of anticipation, an almost childlike joy at the thought of seeing real horses up close and riding them through open fields. Finally, after hours of travel, the village appeared in the distance. It was smaller than Alex had imagined, with cobblestone streets, small houses with thatched roofs, and gardens overflowing with flowers. Chickens wandered freely, and a few children played near a fountain at the center of the village. The villagers looked curious but welcoming. Some waved at Alex, who waved back with a grin. There was a peaceful rhythm to life here, a slow and gentle pace that felt worlds away from the rush of the city. Alex felt an immediate sense of calm, mixed with the bubbling excitement of adventure. After checking into a small, cozy inn, Alex decided to explore the village on foot. The innkeeper, a kind elderly woman named Maria, gave a warm smile and a small map of the village. "The horses are just at the edge of the village," she said. "Be careful. They are beautiful, but they can be a little unpredictable if you don't know them." Alex nodded politely, but inside there was little concern. Over the years, Alex had ridden horses in several countries and had always managed to handle them with ease. Confidence was high, and the thought of capturing the perfect photograph with a horse made the heart beat faster. The path to the stables was lined with tall trees, their branches forming a green canopy that filtered sunlight in soft, dancing patterns on the ground. Alex could hear the distant sound of hooves, soft and rhythmic, and the occasional whinny of a horse. A sense of excitement mingled with curiosity. What would these horses be like? Were they calm, gentle, or full of spirit? Every step brought a sense of anticipation, a feeling that something extraordinary was waiting just ahead. As Alex approached the stables, a group of tourists were gathered, listening to a guide who was explaining the rules of riding. Alex joined quietly, nodding along. The guide spoke about the importance of approaching horses slowly, speaking gently, and always being aware of their mood. "Horses can sense fear or impatience," the guide said. "They are very intelligent. Treat them with respect and they will respect you. But if you rush or try to force them, they can get frightened or even aggressive." Alex listened, smiling to oneself. "Of course I know all that," thought Alex. "I've ridden horses before. I can handle it." Then Alex saw Shadow. He was a large, majestic horse with a shiny black coat that gleamed in the sunlight. His mane flowed like silk in the breeze, and his eyes had a calm, wise look, as if he understood everything happening around him. Alex felt a sudden thrill. Shadow seemed like the perfect horse for a memorable ride, but the guide's earlier words echoed in the mind. Shadow was known to be skittish with strangers, unpredictable at times. Most visitors approached cautiously, stroking him softly and letting him sniff their hands. Alex, however, felt a surge of confidence and perhaps a touch of daring. It would be fun to do something a little different, something exciting. The other tourists were already mounting their horses under the guide's supervision, moving in a slow line through the open fields beyond the village. Alex stepped forward, ready to interact with Shadow. The horse turned his head slightly, his nostrils flaring as he sniffed the new presence. Alex spoke gently, trying to calm Shadow, while also feeling a mix of excitement and impatience. The air was alive with the soft sounds of nature, birds singing, leaves rustling, and the distant murmur of a stream. Everything seemed perfect, idyllic, almost like a scene from a painting. Alex took a deep breath, imagining the wide-open fields ahead, the wind on the face, and the perfect photographs that could be taken. Shadow seemed to respond positively to Alex's voice, lowering his head slightly. Encouraged, Alex decided to get closer, brushing the horse's shiny coat. The sensation was surprising, soft, warm, and powerful all at once. Shadow's muscles rippled under the touch, and Alex could feel the horse's energy, quiet but potent, like a contained storm waiting to be unleashed. It was a feeling of connection, a moment of trust forming between human and animal. Alex smiled, feeling proud and happy. This was why traveling and exploring were so wonderful. Moments like this made the effort and journey worthwhile. For a while, Alex simply stood beside Shadow, petting him and enjoying the calm of the village surroundings. Children passing by stopped to watch, whispering and giggling with excitement. Some of the other tourists took pictures, admiring the bond forming between Alex and the horse. The guide watched from a distance, making sure everything stayed safe. It was a moment of perfect calm, a small pause in the midst of adventure, where everything seemed aligned and magical. Alex felt a sense of anticipation, thinking about the ride ahead and the stories that would be shared later with friends and family. Yet beneath the calm there was a subtle tension. Shadow shifted his weight slightly, ears twitching at sounds that Alex couldn't hear. Horses, Alex knew, had senses far sharper than humans. Shadow's reaction was a quiet reminder that this was a living creature, powerful and unpredictable, and that respect and caution were always necessary. Alex noticed the signs but felt confident in one's own abilities. After all, this was supposed to be a fun adventure, an experience to remember. Little did Alex know that this calm moment was just the beginning, the quiet before the unexpected event that would soon unfold. The villagers watched from their doorsteps and windows, curious about the tourists and their interaction with Shadow. Some smiled approvingly at Alex's gentle approach, while others murmured quietly, perhaps hoping the visitor would heed the guide's advice. The village had seen many tourists before, but not everyone understood the delicate balance between excitement and caution when dealing with animals. Shadow was patient, wise, and accustomed to people, but even the calmest horse could be startled by sudden movements or overconfidence. As the sun began to climb higher in the sky, casting a warm golden glow over the village and the fields beyond, Alex finally decided it was time to mount Shadow and join the others on the trail. The excitement was palpable. The anticipation of galloping through the open meadows, feeling the wind rush past, and experiencing the countryside from a horse's back was thrilling. Alex carefully followed the guide's instructions, adjusting the saddle and holding the reins, while Shadow stood quietly, ready for the next step. It was a moment filled with promise, the start of an adventure that would be remembered for a long time. Little did Alex know, this serene beginning, filled with beauty and wonder, was setting the stage for an unplanned adventure. A story that would later be told with a mix of laughter, surprise, and lessons learned. But at that moment, standing beside Shadow, feeling the horse's warmth and strength, Alex could only think of the thrill ahead, the open fields, and the unforgettable experience that was about to unfold. The calm, the beauty, and the excitement all blended together, making it a perfect start to a day full of adventure and discovery. Alex swung a leg over Shadow's broad back, feeling the horse's muscles tense slightly under the weight. The first moments were always a little tricky, even for experienced riders, and Alex took care to adjust the stirrups and grip the reins comfortably. Shadow shifted his hooves on the soft grass, his ears flicking in different directions, attentive to every sound. The guide, a calm woman named Alina, walked beside Alex, offering quiet encouragement. "Take it slow at first," she said. "Let Shadow get used to your movements. Horses can feel every change in balance, and they respond best to gentle guidance." Alex nodded, smiling, but inwardly felt a rush of excitement. The guide's words were important, but the desire to feel the open field, the wind on the face, and the freedom of riding in a beautiful, natural space was overwhelming. Alex adjusted posture and took a deep breath, feeling both nervous and thrilled. Shadow seemed to sense the mixture of emotions, moving carefully at first, testing the connection between rider and horse. Every step was deliberate, and Alex marveled at the strength and grace beneath. It was a reminder that a horse is not just a mode of transportation, but a living, powerful creature that demanded respect. The trail began gently, winding through tall grass and patches of wildflowers. The sunlight flickered through the trees, creating a pattern of light and shadow on the ground. Birds darted across the sky, chirping and singing, as if welcoming the small procession of riders. Alex could hear the soft clatter of hooves behind and beside, the murmur of other tourists talking quietly to their horses. Everything felt alive. The air smelled sweet, carrying hints of grass, flowers, and the faint, comforting scent of horses. It was a world far removed from the noise and stress of city life, a world that felt almost magical in its simplicity. As the group moved deeper into the fields, Alex noticed Shadow beginning to relax. The horse's movements became smoother, more confident, and the initial tension melted away. Alex's confidence grew in response. For a while, it felt as though Alex and Shadow were moving together in perfect harmony, a team silently communicating with subtle shifts in posture and touch. The feeling was exhilarating. There was a quiet joy in discovering that connection, in understanding that riding was not only about control, but about listening, observing, and respecting the horse's instincts. The other tourists followed along, chatting softly, taking pictures, and occasionally laughing as horses responded to their riders. Alex watched them but was also aware of the guide's reminders. "Always pay attention to the horse," Alina said. "Never force them to do something they are unsure about. Patience is the key." Alex listened, nodding again, but there was an undeniable urge to try something a little daring, a little unusual. It wasn't malicious, just a natural curiosity and desire for adventure. The field stretched endlessly ahead, promising space to experiment, to explore, and to feel a sense of freedom that was almost addictive. At one point, the group reached a clearing with soft, open grass stretching for hundreds of meters. The guide suggested a brief pause, allowing both horses and riders to rest. Alex leaned forward, patting Shadow's neck, feeling the warmth of his skin and the gentle thrum of his heartbeat. The moment was peaceful. Sunlight bathed the scene in a golden glow, and Alex imagined taking a photo, a perfect capture of a moment that seemed almost unreal. The quiet conversation of other tourists, the birds, and the occasional rustle of leaves created a soothing symphony. It was easy to forget that horses, despite their beauty and calm, were powerful animals capable of sudden reactions if startled or mishandled. For a few minutes, Alex simply enjoyed the calm, walking Shadow slowly around the clearing. Then curiosity and a spark of daring began to rise. Alex watched how the horse responded to small shifts of weight and gentle nudges with the reins. Shadow was intelligent, noticing every movement, every change in posture. The urge to see how far this connection could go was tempting. Maybe just a small trick, Alex thought. Nothing too dangerous, just something to impress the others. It was a harmless thought at first, innocent curiosity mixed with the desire to create a memorable moment. But even as the idea formed, subtle signs from Shadow reminded Alex of caution. The horse flicked his ears, shifted his hooves slightly, and snorted softly, subtle messages that the rider was pushing boundaries. Alex felt the thrill, the tension, and excitement all at once. Shadow was strong, beautiful, and unpredictable in ways that Alex had not fully considered. The guide had been clear: respect the horse, follow the rules, and avoid sudden moves. Yet the wide, open field and the sense of being in a storybook setting made it hard to resist the temptation to experiment. Taking a deep breath, Alex decided to try a small stunt, something that would feel daring but manageable. Leaning forward slightly, Alex adjusted the reins and gave a gentle nudge with legs, trying to encourage Shadow to perform a movement a little different from the usual walking pace. For a brief moment, Shadow responded well, moving in the requested direction with grace. Alex felt a rush of triumph, a wave of confidence mixed with relief. The other tourists looked on, some impressed, some cautious, while Elena observed carefully from nearby. It seemed harmless, almost playful, yet there was an underlying tension that Alex couldn't ignore. Suddenly, a rustling sound from the edge of the clearing caught Shadow's attention. His ears flicked sharply, and his muscles tensed. The movement, once smooth and controlled, became more unpredictable. Alex tried to maintain balance, but the sudden reaction reminded that horses, no matter how calm or experienced, could be startled in an instant. The thrill of daring adventure collided with the reality of handling a living, powerful animal. The connection that had seemed so perfect moments ago now required careful attention, quick reflexes, and respect. Alex managed to steady Shadow, speaking softly and stroking his mane to reassure him. The horse's breathing was slightly faster, but he gradually relaxed again. The guide walked closer, her voice calm but firm. "Good job calming him," Elena said. "Remember, every horse is different. Even when they seem comfortable, they can react to small surprises. Always be ready, always be patient." Alex nodded, a mixture of pride and humility washing over. The lesson was clear. Excitement and curiosity were wonderful, but they had to be balanced with caution, empathy, and respect. As the ride continued, Alex paid closer attention to Shadow's subtle cues, flicking ears, gentle shifts in weight, changes in breathing. Every movement became part of a conversation, a silent understanding between horse and rider. The excitement of adventure was still present, but now tempered with awareness. Alex realized that this balance, between thrill and responsibility, freedom and control, was what made horseback riding such a unique experience. It was not just about fun or daring tricks, but about connection, trust, and respect for a living being that was beautiful, strong, and intelligent. The trail led the group to a small hill overlooking the village, offering a breathtaking view of the fields, cottages, and forest beyond. Alex paused to take in the scenery, feeling a sense of awe and gratitude. Shadow stood quietly, attentive and calm, as if sharing the appreciation of the moment. The sun cast long shadows, and a gentle breeze carried the scents of grass and flowers. It was a perfect moment of connection, not only with the horse but with nature and the village itself. The thrill of adventure was now joined by the serenity of understanding, a sense of harmony that made the experience even more memorable. As the group prepared to continue, Alex felt a mixture of excitement and caution. The earlier attempt at daring movement had taught an important lesson, one that blended perfectly with the joy of riding through such beautiful surroundings. Shadow, majestic and alert, was more than a horse. He was a partner in this adventure, a living being whose intelligence and sensitivity demanded respect. Alex felt grateful for the guidance, the experience, and the opportunity to learn in such a memorable way. Every step forward now carried both thrill and mindfulness, a balance that would define the rest of the ride. By the time the trail wound back toward the village, Alex had learned to appreciate the subtle communication between horse and rider, the importance of patience, and the value of observing rather than rushing. The experience was thrilling, yes, but also humbling. Horses were magnificent creatures, capable of incredible strength and grace, but also deserving of care, understanding, and respect. The connection Alex felt with Shadow was deepened, not just by excitement, but by trust, attention, and shared experience. As the villagers watched from their windows and doorsteps and the other tourists returned with smiles and laughter, Alex felt a sense of accomplishment. The ride had been more than just fun. It had been a lesson in balance, awareness, and empathy. And while the adventure was not over and surprises still awaited, this part of the journey had already left a lasting impression. That excitement and care must go hand in hand, and that true adventure comes not from recklessness, but from understanding and connection. Alex felt a surge of confidence as the group continued along the winding trail back toward the village. Shadow moved with grace, responding to every subtle shift and gentle nudge. The rhythm of the horse's hooves against the soft earth was almost hypnotic, a steady beat that matched Alex's growing excitement. The air was warm, filled with the sweet scent of grass and wildflowers. The quiet chirping of birds and rustling of leaves created a peaceful soundtrack, but underneath the calm, a small whisper of tension lingered, as if the adventure was preparing to take an unexpected turn. The open field stretched ahead, bathed in golden sunlight. Alex's eyes scanned the landscape, imagining all the possibilities that lay in the wide, inviting expanse. The other tourists were a few steps ahead, chatting softly with their horses, laughing at little moments and taking photos. Alex's mind wandered to an idea, a daring, playful stunt that might surprise the others and leave a memorable impression. After all, Shadow was strong, intelligent, and seemed to trust Alex completely. Just a small thing, Alex thought. It will be fun and it's harmless. Alex adjusted posture, gently nudging Shadow to respond to a small signal. Shadow moved obediently, ears flicking attentively, muscles rippling under Alex's careful touch. The moment felt perfect. Alex imagined the thrill, the laughter of other tourists, and the shared sense of accomplishment. But the gentle tension that had been building beneath the surface was now growing. Shadow's ears twitched at every sound, and subtle shifts in his weight suggested alertness. Alex noticed, but the desire to impress was stronger than the cautionary instincts. As the group entered a small clearing, sunlight poured over the grass, and the space seemed perfect for trying something adventurous. Alex leaned slightly forward, testing Shadow's response to a new, playful movement. Shadow complied at first, moving in the requested direction with elegance and precision. Alex's heart raced with excitement. It felt like a private moment of triumph, a shared secret between rider and horse. The guide, Elena, walked a few steps behind, keeping a careful watch while the other tourists were distracted by the scenery. Then, without warning, a sudden noise from the edge of the clearing startled Shadow. A branch snapped under the weight of a small animal, and the sharp sound cut through the peaceful rhythm of the fields. Shadow's ears shot forward, nostrils flared, and muscles tensed in an instant. Alex tried to soothe the horse, speaking softly and nudging gently, but Shadow's reaction was instinctive and immediate. The calm, smooth ride turned chaotic in a matter of seconds. Hooves kicked up small clouds of dust, and the powerful horse began to move faster than Alex had anticipated. Panic surged through Alex, a mix of fear and adrenaline. Shadow's strength and speed were overwhelming, and the playful stunt that had seemed so harmless moments before now felt reckless. Alex leaned forward, gripping the reins tightly, heart pounding. The other tourists gasped as they noticed the sudden movement. Elena shouted instructions, her voice calm but firm. "Stay balanced. Don't panic. Talk to him softly." Alex obeyed, trying to regain control, but Shadow's initial startle had disrupted the delicate connection they had built. For a few tense moments, it felt as if the world had narrowed down to just horse and rider. Alex focused on breathing, gentle nudges and soft words, trying to restore trust and calm Shadow. The horse's eyes were wide, muscles coiled with energy, but gradually the connection returned. Shadow slowed slightly, responding to Alex's careful guidance, though still alert and tense. The other tourists watched, some moving closer to offer reassurance, while Elena moved beside Alex, helping to steady both horse and rider. The incident lasted only a few moments, but it felt much longer. When Shadow finally slowed to a gentle walk, Alex let out a deep breath, muscles relaxing after the adrenaline rush. Shadow's ears flicked, nostrils softened, and the horse seemed to understand that the immediate danger had passed. Alex patted Shadow's neck, speaking in a calm, soothing voice. The bond that had been tested moments ago had endured, and the horse responded with gentle movements, walking steadily alongside the group once more. Elena walked closer, her expression a mix of relief and gentle concern. "That was a close one," she said. "You handled it well, but remember, horses are powerful creatures. They can sense everything, your excitement, your fear, your impatience. Always move slowly, always respect their space. Even the calmest horse can react unexpectedly." Alex nodded, feeling both embarrassed and grateful. The lesson was clear. Adventure and daring were exciting, but respect and caution were essential. The other tourists gathered around, offering smiles of reassurance and quiet words of encouragement. Some whispered about the sudden movement, while others shared stories of their own experiences with horses. The atmosphere shifted from tension to reflection. Alex realized how close the situation had come to becoming serious. The thrill of daring, playful stunts had collided with the reality of riding a strong, sensitive animal. The experience was humbling, a powerful reminder that even in moments of confidence, caution must never be ignored. As the group resumed the trail, Alex remained mindful of every subtle movement of Shadow. The horse's ears, breathing, and posture were closely observed, and each step was measured and careful. The earlier incident had instilled a heightened awareness, blending excitement with responsibility. Riding was no longer just about thrill or adventure. It was about connection, trust, and communication. Shadow responded with patience, and the ride continued with a new rhythm, quieter, more respectful, but still filled with the joy of exploration. The trail led the group near a small stream, its water sparkling under the sunlight. Alex dismounted briefly to let Shadow drink, offering gentle pats and quiet words. Shadow knelt slightly, lapping at the cool water, and Alex watched, fascinated by the horse's natural behavior. It was a reminder that these creatures were not just companions for amusement. They were living beings with instincts, intelligence, and emotions. The experience deepened Alex's respect for Shadow and all horses, highlighting the importance of understanding, patience, and empathy. After a short rest, the group continued through a shaded path bordered by tall trees. The sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting dancing patterns on the ground. Birds sang from above, and the gentle rustle of leaves added to the serene atmosphere. Alex felt a renewed sense of appreciation for the environment and the opportunity to share it with Shadow. The earlier incident had shifted the experience from one of mere excitement to one of deeper connection, where every movement, every glance, and every touch mattered. As the group neared the edge of the village, the trail widened, offering a panoramic view of the surrounding fields, cottages, and distant hills. Alex rode slowly, savoring the moment and reflecting on the lesson learned. Shadow, calm and steady, seemed to enjoy the scenery as much as the rider. The incident in the clearing had become a story of growth, understanding, and respect. Alex realized that adventure was not only about daring stunts, but also about forming bonds, learning from mistakes, and appreciating the trust shared between human and horse. When the group returned to the village, villagers observed from doorsteps and windows, some with curiosity, others with gentle smiles. Alex dismounted carefully, patting Shadow's neck and whispering words of gratitude. The horse snorted softly, as if acknowledging the connection. The guide, Elena, offered a nod of approval. "You learned something important today," she said. "The strongest bond comes from trust, patience, and respect, not from showing off or taking risks. Remember that for all your future rides." Alex smiled, feeling both humility and pride. The incident became a story to remember, not for embarrassment or fear, but for the lessons it taught. Alex had discovered the delicate balance between thrill and responsibility, curiosity and caution, daring and respect. Shadow had demonstrated patience and intelligence, responding to gentle guidance and understanding, even when startled. The ride, once a simple adventure, had transformed into an experience of growth, connection, and self-awareness. It was a day that would be remembered not for reckless fun, but for the meaningful lessons learned and the bond formed with a remarkable horse. As the sun began to lower in the sky, casting warm, golden hues over the village and fields, Alex led Shadow back to the stables. The horse walked calmly, ears flicking attentively, muscles relaxed but alert. Alex felt a deep sense of gratitude, not only for the adventure but for the opportunity to learn and grow. The incident in the clearing had been unexpected, but it had strengthened the connection between rider and horse and left a lasting impression about respect, patience, and the true nature of adventure. By the end of the day, Alex had a newfound understanding of the power and sensitivity of horses. The thrill of adventure was still alive, but it was now tempered with wisdom. Every touch, every movement, and every decision mattered. Shadow had been both teacher and companion, demonstrating that true adventure comes not from recklessness, but from balance, care, and trust. As Alex walked through the village, smiling at the onlookers and waving to the other tourists, there was a sense of accomplishment, humility, and joy. The story of the day was not one of fear, but of learning, connection, and the unspoken bond between human and horse. After the incident in the clearing, Alex walked slowly through the village, leading Shadow back toward the stables. The horse moved calmly, ears flicking attentively, as if sensing the change in mood. Alex felt a mixture of relief, embarrassment, and reflection. The adrenaline from the scare had faded, replaced by a quiet understanding of what had almost happened. The lesson was clear. Even the most confident rider could be humbled by a powerful, intelligent animal. Shadow had been patient and forgiving, but the experience reminded Alex that respect, patience, and attentiveness were always essential when dealing with horses. As they neared the stables, a few villagers gathered to watch, curiosity evident on their faces. Some nodded in acknowledgement, while others whispered to each other. Horses were part of village life, and the villagers had seen many tourists before, but not all visitors treated the animals with care. Alex felt a subtle pang of embarrassment, realizing that others had noticed the earlier excitement and near-chaotic moment. There was no shame in learning, though, and Alex held the horse's reins firmly, walking calmly beside him to show that everything was now under control. At the stables, Elena was waiting with a gentle but firm expression. "Good job calming him," she said, voice steady but warm. "Now let's make sure Shadow is okay. He's a wonderful horse, but even gentle animals need time to recover after being startled." Alex nodded and helped guide Shadow to a quiet corner of the stable. The guide inspected the horse, running hands gently along his coat and legs, checking for signs of strain or stress. Shadow stood patiently, lowering his head slightly as if understanding the concern and care being shown. Alex watched the careful attention given to Shadow, feeling a deeper appreciation for both the horse and the guide. Horses were more than tools for adventure. They were living, sensitive beings capable of strong emotions, just like humans. The near incident in the field had been a humbling reminder of that truth. Alex began to reflect on the choices made moments before, the playful stunt, the small push for excitement, and the momentary lapse in caution. It was easy to see now how quickly a fun moment could have become dangerous if Shadow had reacted differently. As Shadow was cared for, Alina spoke quietly to Alex. Tourists often think riding is just fun or showing skill, but it's really about connection. You have to understand the horse, feel what it needs, and never try to force anything. Today could have gone very differently, but you stayed calm and patient, and that saved the moment. Alex listened carefully, feeling a sense of gratitude and humility. The lesson was clear and unforgettable. It wasn't just about riding. It was about learning to respect another being, understanding their signals, and being responsible for both the animal and oneself. Other tourists began to gather around, some curious, others offering words of encouragement. A few whispered about the incident in the field, but the tone was supportive rather than critical. Everyone had moments of learning when working with animals, and Alex realized that this was part of the experience. The embarrassment faded as a sense of accomplishment grew. Even though the incident had been frightening, it had strengthened the connection with Shadow, and it had taught lessons that no ordinary adventure could offer. Alex felt a sense of pride, not in showing daring or skill, but in having learned, adapted, and respected the horse. Once Shadow was settled and calm, Alex walked around the stable yard, taking in the quiet atmosphere. The village seemed peaceful, almost timeless, with sunlight falling gently on the cobblestone paths and flowers swaying in the breeze. Villagers went about their daily work, some smiling at the tourists, others tending gardens or feeding chickens. There was a rhythm to life here, slow and steady, unlike the rushed pace of the city. Alex felt grateful for the experience, not only for the adventure, but also for the chance to observe life in such a different environment. Alex began to reflect on the emotional impact of the day. Riding Shadow had been thrilling, yes, but it had also been humbling. The sudden scare in the clearing had been a powerful reminder that actions have consequences, even when intentions are innocent or playful. There was a quiet lesson in responsibility, understanding the nature of powerful animals, anticipating reactions, and respecting boundaries. Alex realized that the most memorable adventures were not always the wildest or most daring, but those that taught lessons in patience, awareness, and empathy. As the afternoon progressed, Alina gathered the group to discuss the day's events. She spoke about the importance of preparation, awareness, and observation when riding horses. Horses are amazing creatures, she explained. They can sense your emotions, your movements, and your confidence, or lack of it. They are intelligent and sensitive. If you want to truly enjoy your ride, you must listen to them, respect them, and act responsibly. Today, you all saw how quickly things can change if you don't pay attention. But you also saw how trust and patience can restore calm. Alex nodded, absorbing every word, knowing that the message was meant to guide not only tourists, but anyone who interacts with animals. Later, Alex spent time talking quietly to Shadow, brushing his mane and speaking softly. The horse nuzzled gently, and Alex could feel the warmth and intelligence beneath the coat. There was no fear or agitation, only a calm understanding. It was a moment of connection, a silent acknowledgement of the lessons learned. Alex realized that adventure wasn't just about fun or challenge. It was about forming relationships, even with animals, and respecting the trust that was given. Shadow had taught patience, caution, and empathy in a way that words could never fully capture. The other tourists gathered to share stories of their rides, some describing small mishaps or funny moments, others speaking of newfound confidence and appreciation for the horses. Alex joined in, recounting the incident in the clearing with honesty and humility, emphasizing the lessons learned rather than the scare itself. The group listened, offering smiles, nods, and gentle laughter. It was a moment of shared experience, where everyone learned from each other and from the horses. Alex realized that these stories, these lessons, would stay with everyone long after the visit, shaping a deeper respect for both animals and adventure. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting warm, golden light across the village, Alex walked slowly back to the inn. Shadow followed calmly, a quiet partner in reflection. The experience had been a mixture of excitement, tension, learning, and connection. The near incident in the clearing had shifted the perspective from daring adventure to meaningful growth. Alex understood that respect and caution were not restrictions. They were essential tools for creating a safe and unforgettable experience. That evening, Alex sat on the inn's balcony, looking out over the village and the surrounding fields. The sun painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, and the soft hum of the countryside carried through the air. The day had been full of excitement and unexpected lessons. Alex thought about the thrill of riding Shadow, the sudden scare, and the quiet moments of trust and connection afterward. Every detail of the day seemed to hold significance, and a deep sense of gratitude filled the heart. Alex realized that this day would be remembered not for the near chaos in the clearing, but for the lessons learned, the bond with Shadow, and the humbling reminder of the responsibility that comes with adventure. The village had offered more than beautiful landscapes or thrilling rides. It had offered understanding, patience, and the chance to see the world through a lens of respect and empathy. Alex felt changed, more aware, and more appreciative of the delicate balance between excitement and caution, thrill and responsibility. Before going to sleep, Alex wrote a note in a travel journal. "Today taught me more than I expected. Adventure is wonderful, but trust, respect, and patience matter even more. Shadow reminded me that every living being deserves care and understanding. True connection is more valuable than any thrill." As Alex drifted off to sleep, the gentle sounds of the village and the distant whinny of a horse outside the window created a soothing backdrop. The day had been a mixture of excitement, learning, and reflection, and the lessons would remain long after the journey ended. By the end of Part 4, Alex had grown not only as a traveler but as a person. The events of the day had left a lasting impression, a quiet understanding that adventure and responsibility go hand in hand. Shadow had been both teacher and companion, guiding Alex through a journey of respect, patience, and empathy. The near incident in the clearing had been a turning point, transforming a simple horseback ride into a profound lesson in humility and awareness. The experience had been unforgettable, not for danger, but for growth, understanding, and the bond formed between human and horse. The next morning, Alex woke up early, just as the first rays of sunlight stretched across the village. The air was fresh and cool, carrying the faint scent of grass, flowers, and the faint aroma of baked bread from the nearby bakery. There was a quiet peace to the village at this hour, a stillness that felt almost magical. Alex dressed quickly, feeling a mix of excitement and calm. Today would be the last chance to ride Shadow and explore the fields one more time before leaving the village. But this time the experience would be different, not just about thrill or fun, but about reflection, patience, and connection. Walking to the stables, Alex noticed the villagers beginning their day. Some were tending gardens, others sweeping their porches, and a few children played quietly near the fountain. Everyone seemed calm, smiling gently at the early risers. The village had a rhythm that was slow and steady, unlike the rush of city life. Alex felt grateful for being able to witness it firsthand, appreciating the simple beauty of daily life. When Shadow appeared at the stable door, his black coat gleaming in the morning light, Alex felt a warm sense of reassurance. The horse's presence was calming, a reminder of the lessons learned the day before. Elena greeted Alex with a smile. "Good morning," she said. Shadow seems happy to see you. Today, you can enjoy the ride without rushing or trying anything daring. Just walk with him, feel the connection, and enjoy the moment. Alex nodded, appreciating the advice. After the previous day's near incident, there was no desire to prove skill or impress anyone. Instead, the focus was on understanding, patience, and enjoying the beauty of the world around. The horse was not just a means of adventure, it was a companion, a teacher, and a friend. As Alex mounted Shadow carefully, there was a quiet anticipation. The earlier lessons were fresh in mind. Respect the horse's signals, stay calm, and maintain balance. Shadow responded smoothly, stepping forward gently, ears flicking attentively. The connection between rider and horse felt stronger than ever. Alex smiled, feeling both confidence and humility, knowing that the bond was built on trust, not daring stunts. The gentle rhythm of hooves on the soft path created a calming beat, syncing perfectly with the peaceful morning. The trail led through familiar fields, now bathed in soft morning light. Wildflowers swayed in the breeze, birds chirped overhead, and the distant hills glowed golden with the rising sun. Alex took deep breaths, savoring every detail, noticing the subtle movements of Shadow beneath. Each step, each sound, and each glance became part of a silent conversation. There was no rush, no need to impress anyone, just the horse, the trail, and the quiet joy of connection. Every moment felt like a gift, a chance to experience the world fully and thoughtfully. As they moved deeper into the fields, Alex reflected on the events of the previous day. The near-chaotic incident in the clearing had been frightening, yes, but it had also been a profound lesson. It was not the thrill of daring stunts or showing skill that mattered, but the patience, understanding, and respect that created a true bond. Shadow had demonstrated intelligence, sensitivity, and forgiveness. Alex realized that adventure was not about recklessness. It was about learning, growing, and connecting with the world and its creatures in a meaningful way. The path opened to a wide meadow, sunlight spilling over the grass, making it shimmer like gold. Alex allowed Shadow to walk freely, guiding him with gentle touches and quiet words. The horse responded immediately, moving with ease and grace, muscles rippling smoothly beneath the skin. There was a sense of harmony in the moment, a feeling that both horse and rider were exactly where they were meant to be. The earlier tension and fear had been replaced with calm awareness and deep appreciation. Every small movement of Shadow was now meaningful, a language without words that Alex understood fully. At the edge of the meadow, Alex paused, letting Shadow graze while observing the landscape. Rolling hills stretched into the distance, dotted with trees and the occasional farmhouse. The wind carried soft scents of earth, grass, and flowers. Alex felt a deep sense of gratitude, not just for the beauty of nature, but for the experience with Shadow, the guidance of Alina, and the chance to learn lessons that would last a lifetime. The quiet reflection created a sense of peace that was almost meditative. The day was not just about adventure, it was about understanding, connection, and growth. As the morning progressed, Alex rode slowly along a winding path that led to a small stream. The water sparkled in the sunlight, and Shadow paused to drink, lowering his head gently. Alex knelt slightly, patting the horse's neck and whispering words of thanks. Shadow nuzzled back softly, a simple gesture that spoke volumes about trust and companionship. The moment was peaceful and unhurried, a quiet celebration of the lessons learned and the bond formed. Alex realized that this connection was more valuable than any thrill, photograph, or daring stunt. It was a relationship built on respect, patience, and shared experience. Walking Shadow back toward the village, Alex observed the daily life around. Villagers were going about their routines, tending gardens, feeding animals, and chatting with neighbors. Children waved at Alex and Shadow, and the horse responded calmly, ears flicking attentively. The earlier fear of embarrassment or mistakes had completely faded. Instead, there was a sense of pride and contentment. Alex understood that true adventure was not about showing off or seeking thrills. It was about learning, adapting, and appreciating every detail of the journey. Back at the stables, Alina offered a kind smile. "You've done very well," she said. "Shadow trusts you now, and so do I. The bond you formed today is strong because it was built on respect and patience. That is the most important part of riding and of any adventure." Alex nodded, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. The lessons were clear. Trust, patience, observation, and empathy were the foundations of meaningful experiences. Adventure was not just about excitement. It was about connection, understanding, and growth. As Alex prepared to leave the village, there was a bittersweet feeling. The days had been full of excitement, learning, and reflection. Shadow had taught more than riding skills. He had shown the importance of respect, patience, and understanding. The incident in the clearing, which had seemed frightening at first, had become the turning point for deeper awareness and growth. Alex now carried not only memories of the beautiful scenery and thrilling moments, but also lessons that would guide future adventures and interactions with animals and people alike. Before departing, Alex took a quiet walk through the village, observing the simple beauty of everyday life. Villagers smiled and waved, children laughed and played, and the gentle rhythm of life continued without hurry. The lessons from the horseback adventure extended beyond riding. They applied to observing, appreciating, and respecting the world around. Alex reflected on how easily a moment of thrill could turn into a challenge if patience and awareness were ignored. Conversely, a careful, respectful approach could transform even ordinary experiences into meaningful adventures. Mounting Shadow one last time, Alex felt a surge of gratitude. The horse moved smoothly, responding to subtle guidance, and the connection between rider and animal felt complete. Alina guided the group on a final gentle ride, allowing everyone to enjoy the open fields, the soft breeze, and the golden sunlight. Alex took in every detail: the rustling leaves, the scent of grass, the gentle movement of shadow beneath, and the distant hills stretching toward the horizon. The journey was no longer about daring stunts. It was about harmony, connection, and quiet joy. As the day came to a close, Alex dismounted, patting Shadow's neck and whispering words of thanks. Shadow snorted softly, lowering his head in a calm gesture of understanding. Alina smiled warmly. "Remember, the best adventures are those where you learn, connect, and respect the world around you. You've done that today." Alex nodded, feeling the truth of her words. The lessons learned with Shadow would remain forever, about patience, awareness, empathy, and the beauty of shared experiences. Back at the inn, Alex wrote in the travel journal, capturing the essence of the journey. Adventure is not just about excitement. It's about learning, connecting, and understanding. Shadow taught me patience, respect, and trust. The thrill of riding is nothing compared to the joy of forming a true bond and appreciating the world fully. Today, I learned that every living being has its own wisdom, and every adventure is more meaningful when approached with care. As the sun set over the village, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Alex felt a deep sense of completion. The days in the countryside had been filled with excitement, lessons, reflection, and growth. Shadow had been more than a horse. He had been a teacher, a companion, and a reminder of the importance of patience and respect. The experience had transformed a simple horseback ride into an unforgettable journey, one that would leave a lasting impression on both heart and mind. Alex packed belongings, said heartfelt goodbyes to the villagers, and prepared to leave the village. The adventure had come to an end, but the lessons and memories would travel forever. The story of Shadow, the clearing, and the fields would be remembered not for fear or mistakes, but for growth, connection, and understanding. The true meaning of adventure had been revealed, not in daring feats, but in trust, patience, and the quiet joy of shared experiences. As the carriage pulled away, Alex glanced back at the village and the stables, seeing shadows standing calmly in the sunlight. A sense of gratitude, humility, and wonder filled the heart. The adventure had been unforgettable, and the lessons learned would guide every journey yet to come. The ride had been more than a simple excursion. It had been a life lesson, a story of respect, trust, and connection that would remain vivid and inspiring forever.